2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Smart 7.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, the 14th of September, and it's Cream-Filled Donut Day. And a big happy birthday to Sam Neill, Morton Harkett, Jesse James, and Ashley Roberts.
7.
There were 30,825 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday and 61 additional deaths. The Office of National Statistics released new figures which show that only 1% of deaths from COVID in the first half of 2021 were those who had been fully vaccinated. And the vaccine rollout continued with the announcement that the UK's chief medical officers have decided that children aged 12 to 15 should be offered a vaccine, but only one jab for now. Professor Chris Whitty explains how they made the decision.
They looked at the risk and they looked at the benefit, and their view was that the benefits exceeded the risk, but that the difference between these two was, in their words, marginal. The benefit exceeds the risk, but by a small margin.
He also says that with winter looming, the additional layer of vaccination should help to reduce educational reduction and its negative impacts on children's mental health.
This is not a silver bullet. It's not a single thing that on its own will do so, but we think it is an important and potentially useful additional tool to help reduce the public health impacts that come through educational disruption.
Health Secretary Sajid Javid says he accepts the unanimous decision and says the rollout will begin next week.
6.
The government's due to end the £20 uplift in universal credit in October, despite appeals from Labour, Nicola Sturgeon and various charities. Monday morning saw Work and Pension Secretary Theresa Kofi on BBC Breakfast defending the planned cut and reminding people that the raise was always temporary. Her unsympathetic tone didn't exactly win her any friends.
£20 a week is about 2 hours extra work every week. We'll be seeing what we can do to help people perhaps secure those extra hours, but ideally also to make sure they're in a place to get better paid jobs as well.
The figures were disputed both by the Resolution Foundation and by Labour's Shadow Work and Pension Secretary Jonathan Reynolds in the House of Commons.
The figure, Mr. Speaker, would be an extra 10 hours a week. So that cut would force a person to work 50 hours a week in total to get what they are receiving now.
And Labour leader Keir Starmer laid the blame at Boris's door, saying he hasn't looked at other options.
He's not even trying. He's gone straight for hammering working people.
Monday night saw BBC's Panorama programme investigating British-American tobacco again. The investigation, in conjunction with the Bureau of Investigative Journalism, uncovered evidence of bribes and illegal payments in South Africa and negotiations to pay a bribe to former Zimbabwean leader Robert Mugabe. BAT says their actions were simply intended to combat the illicit trade in tobacco products, and the Serious Fraud Office investigated the original complaint and found there was insufficient evidence for prosecution. A new podcast called Smokescreen follows the story of the spies, lies and bribes over the next 8 weeks, including the woman at the heart of the intrigue, Belinda Walter.
Belinda was a spy, not the James Bond type. She didn't have a license to kill. She worked for a company. And despite being a spy, she wasn't always very discreet.
Within the first day that we had met, she disclosed to me that she had actually been assigned to infiltrate me.
It's been 7 years since Scotland made a bid for freedom, with the independence referendum that ultimately led to a 55-45 split decision, meaning Scotland stayed as part of the United Kingdom. Now at the SNP's National Conference, Scotland First Minister Nicola Sturgeon says she has asked the UK government to agree to another independence referendum at the end of 2023.
During the election, we said that tackling the pandemic would come first, and it will. And we said that when the COVID crisis has passed, we would give the people of Scotland the choice of independence. And we will.
Still to come on the Smart 7, Justin Bieber picks up a VMA and we're heading back to the future for a musical right after this.
You're listening to the Smart 7. If you're enjoying it, you might also like the Smart 7 Ireland edition. Just search and follow us on your favourite podcast platform. Last weekend's Italian Grand Prix saw Lewis Hamilton come dangerously close to a serious accident as rival Max Verstappen's car slid over the cockpit of Lewis's Mercedes. Now Wednesday sees a new Netflix documentary drop which tracks the life of another Formula One legend, Michael Schumacher, who hasn't been seen in public since a tragic accident on the ski slopes in 2013. That event saw him placed in a medically induced coma for 250 days. Now, this new doc entitled Schumacher will tell the story of his success on and off the track and hear for the first time from his wife Karina.
He wanted to do something that, hadn't been done by Prost, hadn't been done by Senna.
I got such a strong impression of how hard Michael was willing to work.
And what Schumacher achieved was absolutely incredible.
It was one of the great 80s movies, starring Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown. It was, of course, Back to the Future.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
The way I see it, if you're going to build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style?
Now it's been turned into a musical, although they'll need a long stage if they're going to hit 88 miles per hour. Bob Zemeckis, who directed the 80s classic, popped up in a DeLorean, obviously, on This Morning to explain how the time machine was nearly a fridge.
In the very early, writing of the early screenplays, Bob and I had the idea that it was like an old refrigerator that you stood in, and then that was put in on top of a pickup truck or something, and the doc drove it around. Once the movie starts being put together and you start seeing what the logistics are, it quickly decided, it's probably just simpler if you just, turn the time machine into a vehicle.
Sunday night saw the pride of Ireland, well, not really, Conor McGregor get into a row with Machine Gun Kelly at the VMAs. Yep, the MTV Video Music Awards are still going, back with a live audience this year and handing Video of the Year to Lil Nas X for Montero, the video in which he lap dances for the devil. He seemed pretty pleased about the whole thing.
I want to say thank you to the gay agenda. Let's go, gay agenda!
Justin Bieber, who spent the whole evening in a hoodie and your dad's jacket, won Artist of the Year and took a moment to recognise the power of music after a difficult year.
Music is such an amazing opportunity and an amazing outlet to be able to reach people. That's why we're here right now, right? We're all here together, and we got a lot more in common than we don't.
This has been The Smart 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Have a great day.
Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.